Would you look at that? Look what I got on right now. Elite Sports branded apparel. Is it because I work for this podcast? Is it because I created this podcast? Yes, to all of those questions and more. It's also because this sweater saved my life in Dallas because I was so cold. Thank God I brought this in my jacket, in my bag. Super warm, super comfy. Most of all, says squaring around. So you can support the show today. Go to elitesports.com, shop their full list of athletes too. It's not just us on there. Use code SQUARE at checkout. Elitesports.com, use code SQUARE. The college football playoffs have ended. And if you are not a Michigan Wolverine, you're probably not very excited with how your team ended up, especially if you're a Husky fan. I'm so sorry for you guys' loss. But you can still shop the greater lineup at Home Field. Home Field's got all the products you need. They got teams all across the country, not Texas State. But we're hoping to change that soon. So shop homefield.com. Use Square at checkout.
Do we have can we preface this whole thing with stories from North Dakota? Hopefully the last story from North Dakota.
Sure.
I got a bill from my old apartment today. Would you like to guess what that bill was for?
No, when is it for? Your smoke inhalation damage?
So when I left, there was a giant couch that took a ton of time, like 2 hours to get in there. And I said, you know what? I'm done. I'm not going to move this out. Now, in the lease, it said that if you have any personal belongings, they're taking the security deposit. Whatever, no problem. They charged me $400 to get rid of that couch.
400. That couch was only worth 150.
That couch was worth maybe I pay you $200 to get rid of it. You know, it was a nice couch. It was a good gift. It was ginormous. It took up the entire living room. It was not worth that much. So now I have to battle with this apartment complex in North Dakota. We're going to court.
Really? You're taking a small claims court?
I'm taking a small claims court. I'm not paying $800 something because it was that plus it was a couple other things. No. I'm not paying $800.
That's where they get you. The other things.
They were like, hey, we had to clean the apartment for 3 hours. How much would 3 hours of cleaning be worth to you?
Bring up the fucking bed bug issue. How about that?
Here's the thing. So I complained about it 4 times. 4 times I complained. I spent maybe $200 of my own money to get bed bug bombs and all the other bullshit. And, you know, look, I'm all for open borders. But the problem is that the people who were moving across the hall for me continued to bring bed bugs into that apartment. It was not me.
What a week for you to say that, because President Joe Biden and former President Texas, Trump are headed to the valley.
Hell yeah. So I'm going to talk to him. Fentanyl is like the third most important thing. Bed bugs are number 1 on my list of like problems coming into this country. They cost $500 to remove those. They charge $500 for bed bug removal.
Isn't that like a termite issue though? Like if you have bed bugs, it's like a cause of a different cause, you know, or it's like it's a symptom of a different problem.
Well, my thing is like you're charging me. So anyway, I got the notice today. They were like, "Hey, pay this, thank you." Which I was like, "That's insane that they said thank you at the end of that email."
Send a warrant out for my arrest. I'll never come back to North Dakota.
Pretty much, that's what I said. That's what I told my parents. I was like, unless they send me we will take you to court over this, I'm not paying it. I'm not paying it. $843 they want. Not happening.
Ridiculous.
Not happening. So I refuse.
I spent some money on when I moved out of our college apartment. Me, Jason, Ryan, and Johnny. You know, those 2 young
that place looked good.
Those 2 young cats went to the valley during COVID, but me and Johnny weathered the harsh storm, the unstoppable class of 2022 or 2020. Sorry,
you stupid ass. Yes,
2020. My bad. Yeah, nobody else is unstoppable. Just the class of 2020. Everybody else is very much stoppable. But they were like, hey, you had a grill outside and it smells like smoke in here because we smoke cigarettes inside. And I was like, you know what? All of those claims are fair. I will pay for it.
How much did they charge you? It
was about $500.
Holy shit.
See, but I had just gotten my first TV money, baby. My first, bit of the coin.
500. So you and John split it 2 ways?
Nah,
so
just me.
You ate $500.
Yeah. No, I think John, I definitely paid for the grill. And then I think maybe we did split the smoke part.
I'm just thinking to myself, like, I know it doesn't cost that much money. If you remember, rent in that apartment cost $395
At North Dakota, not Cabana
North
Beach,
Dakota.
San Marcos.
No, in North Dakota, $395. So they're essentially asking me to pay another month's rent to not live there. Which, now that I say it out loud, actually, that's a lie. They're asking me to pay 2 months' rent essentially to not live there. Now that I say it out loud, there's no way I'm doing that. There's zero chance.
I hope this portion of the podcast is played in court in a deposition hearing. Your Honor, this is premeditated. He was never going to pay this.
I just can't believe it. My thought, and the other thing is they have my parents' address on the letter, right? Like the email.
You should have done one number off.
That's what I'm going to do.
Give him the old hot girl at the bar.
My thing is, I just don't. I'm not going to put my forwarding address in the mailing system. I'm just putting this address in. And what are they going to do?
True.
Find me.
Get at us.
Find me. What are you going to get? Get Liam Neeson to hunt me down? No, it's not happening. I'm not paying $800.
So, I went to Afghanistan to visit you actually this past week to go rescue you first of all because your car broke down.
Oh my God.
And then I went to go see your new digs, So
Afghanistan. No, you came to the north side of San Antonio.
No, it's not San Antonio. First of all, it's Stone Oak. It's a different municipality. Yeah,
Yeah, it's San Antonio. There's no you're entering San Antonio. We are in San Antonio.
How is that Bear County? But Alamo Heights is not Bear County technically
because Alamo Heights doesn't want to pay taxes. Come on. No,
right.
There's no you're entering San Antonio sign. We clearly are in San Antonio.
Yeah. You know what? While we're on a San Antonio kick,
yeah,
I was thinking about this the other day when I was over here on the St. Mary's Strip the last time. Why don't people say we're going stripping? When we're going to the Strip. We say we're going squaring. I think we should bring back we're going stripping, but just know a Texas State grad is the one who fucking said that shit.
Tired of winning the tailgate, but losing the games? We can't help that. But we can tell you what the hell is up with each team and what's going on across sunny San Marcos. Texas State fans, get on your feet. You're listening to Squarin' Around with Jakob Rodriguez and Andrew Zimmel.
Down, 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 down. Down, 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 down. I've got sunshine.
Piece of shit.
On a McCloudy day. When
I
it's
wanted to come up with you to come up with that joke.
I've got the month of May. Obviously, that's our big topic today, I think. Jordan McCloud, former James Madison Duke, who has been in college as long as most doctors would have been, is now coming to Texas State for his 7th year at the ripe age of 24. What were you doing at 24, Andrew?
At 24, I was in the I was covering the University of North Dakota State.
Yeah, 24. I had just signed a new lease in Corpus Christi that I would soon break 6 months later to come over here again.
That's insane.
So Jordan McCloud coming to Texas State. GJ Kinney pulls another ace out of his sleeve somehow, some way. First, let's recap this fucking timeline, right? Texas State wins its first bowl game, the First Responders Bowl. The whole time, all of us are like, is TJ Finley going to play next year? Is he going to play at the bowl game? First of all, we win the bowl game. Still don't hear anything. Crickets. He's teasing. I'm going to make an announcement. We're teasing. He's going to make an announcement. Eventually, he says, hey, I'm here to stay. The next day, Texas State signs Jaden DeLora, who the day before, while TJ Finley was teasing his tease, was saying, hey, I'm here at Texas State. And also, I settled a sexual assault case from 6 years ago. Not great. Once everybody figured that out via the University Star / me, things got interesting on Texas State for a while. We had 2 fucking whole podcasts about it because it consumed 2 weeks of our lives. Eventually, Jaden DeLora and Texas State separate. And then we're kind of like, PJ Hatter, the quarterback, won now?
Oh my God.
And that's basically where we were for the past 3 weeks. And that's what.
And now the national nightmare is over. Now the
national nightmare is over because the Sun Belt Player of the Year is calling Texas State home for his final ride.
And you can try to pretend there might be a quarterback battle or whatever. With Malik and TJ, it made sense. Okay, TJ is getting here at the 11th hour essentially to join this team. So it was like, okay, there's an actual quarterback competition. It was decided very quickly that TJ Finley was going to be QB1. At this point, there's no question that McCloud is QB1 going into summer and now into the fall camp for Texas State. The real question to me, Jacob, is this now transfer you? Is Texas State officially transfer state? You know what I mean?
If it wasn't decided last season when we brought the only other school that brought in more transfers than us was fucking Colorado last year.
But here's my point. So like, okay, so we are now transfer state. Mm-hmm. Are we just going to use the QB rental system? We're just going to rent a QB every year?
It feels like it. And then, I kind of do feel bad for, not Brad Jackson, because he's going to be a redshirt freshman. I think he's technically on campus right now. He will be available for the spring game. So we'll see him and PJ Hatter. By the way, now that we have Jordan McCloud on, he's a grad transfer, so he'll be there too. Mm-hmm. He started class the same time as everybody else.
Yeah, he took an 8-week course, which is a really good way to sneak in the back door to like join a program. I think that that's really smart. And that's something that you need to do a better job of keeping track of who's in the student directory, Jacob. I think every day you should be looking at the beginning of classes, start Googling names, start being like, who, just run all. I think
Arch Manning, what are you doing?
I think there's like 6,000 college football players across the country. I think that's what you should be doing first day of class is just searching names, just Googling names, put them in the directory, copy and paste. That's a good use of your time.
You know what's crazy is when the University Star was going through a weird period, people were looking up my name in the directory, and they were like, Jacob is not a student. And I was like, I assure you, I am a student here.
What was that? That was InfoWars, though.
Yeah,
they're trying to firebomb your office.
I'm just saying the directory is not always right. The most accurate thing to look up to. If you're wondering how to verify if somebody goes to school, email the registrar's office. This is what you need: the name and date of birth of whoever person, and then you can verify if somebody went to school there or graduated, and then what they did in that time.
You need the last 4 of the social too.
No, you don't.
Okay.
No, you just it's your name and I can get your GPA right now. You want me to? Improve a point.
So McCloud comes to Texas State. Clearly, GJ Kenny did a little bit of the it's not tampering because it's not, but also it kind of is, right? Where like
I don't know. Tell me, is it or is it not?
It's not tampering. However, it is kind of weird because if you remember pre-transfer portal, you can transfer. This is where the rules used to be. You cannot transfer in the conference and play the next year. It used to be if you're a transfer student going inside the conference, you had to sit a year on the bench. So if I went from Texas State to UT, no sit. If I went from Texas State to Southern Miss, I'd have to sit. But they got rid of that rule, and now it's essentially the Wild Wild West. They've taken all of the governors off of this whole thing. It is insane. It's crazy how unregulated this entire system is at this point. And now you're in a spot where JMU was, I would say, the best team in the Sun Belt last year, who was looking at a chance to play potentially in the college football playoffs as it expands, to now being, I would say, the third best team in the East. This is just, again, off the top of the head. I think they might be the third best team in the East, and Texas State now becomes the definitive, in my opinion, the definitive best team in the Sun Belt, with the Sun Belt Player of the Year, with the Coach of the Year, with the offensive coordinator of the state. I think you can make a case for Leftwich being the best OC in the state of Texas.
DJ didn't win Coach of the Year in the Sun Belt, though.
Who won Coach of the Year in the Sun Belt?
Pretty sure it was Summerall?
Was it Summerall who just left for Tulane?
Pretty sure.
That's probably, that's a good point.
I'm sure GJ did not win Coach of the Year.
You're positive about that, but you just don't know who won it.
Yeah. Kurt Signetti from JMU won Coach of the Year in 2023.
So now the Coach of the Year loses.
If GJ Kinney won Coach of the Year his first year in the Sun Belt, we would be shitting headlines for days.
Would we?
Yeah,
because it seems
it would be a thing that we would cover for sure.
Yeah, that's true. We've already been glazing GJ. So now you've made the point about the Goodwill gift card. Do they get money back on it now with Jaden or with McCloud coming back?
I don't know, because this definitely is a way that you respond to a situation right that like right. But like, why didn't we just do this shit first? I guess because
I don't think he could have.
nothing is guaranteed in college football, and for sure Jordan McCloud had Power Five offers and stuff like that. But maybe it was a situation where he didn't have a guaranteed start.
For sure.
He entered the transfer
For sure.
before the bowl game, which they lost against Air Force, which was the Lockheed Martin Bowl.
Huge for me and my people in the caves.
Which is a home game for the Air Force. I want everybody to know that. That's crazy.
So, all right,
we gotta play this in front of the fucking missile silos.
I'm gonna go on a limb here and say I don't think he had Power 5 offers.
I think
at least Power 5 starting offers.
You want to bet?
So why would you, as a Power 5 team, take the best quarterback in the Sun Belt, arguably, for a 1-year rental? What team would do that?
What team would rent a quarterback for 1 year? Fucking everybody, apparently.
No.
That's all anybody's doing.
No, because here's my argument. Because if you are a team that is on the cusp that you think, so let's say you're a team in the new Big Ten, you're Penn State, and you look at the teams that are coming into the conference, why would you rent a quarterback on a 1-year deal that you know he's going to leave the next year? Like, this is what I've seen a lot of people very excited about this. I'm excited about this. I think that McCloud is a big step up from the rest of the quarterback room at Texas State. However, I don't think he's that much of a step up from TJ Finley. And that's why when you say that, this is a good way to respond, I agree. This might be the best way to respond to the Delora coming in and then leaving. But if you run it back 2 months, TJ Finley might still be on this team. You know what I mean? And I don't think McCloud is that much of a step up from TJ Finley. That's my point.
Maybe he's still on the team. I don't know. The conversation I've had with a bunch of people at Texas, or not at Texas State, but at where I work, Ken's 5, has been like, I think TJ Finley was going to leave the whole time. Like, I think
to Western Kentucky.
I don't think that was his dream school by any means, but when you stand on business, you stand on business, you know? And he was already slighted or felt slighted at Texas State. He thought he could get more money. He probably is making slightly more money at Western Kentucky. He definitely gets a bigger spotlight on him being in a different school that's not Texas. So, there's less headlines around him. He makes some noise with whatever that red monster is. And now he's doing stuff with Destroying, who is on the San Antonio Brahmas.
Come on.
I'm just saying. But I like how you say things and you're like, oh, he definitely didn't have Power 5 offers, and it's just like not true. He like definitely did.
So where was he gonna go?
He had offers from Boston, Iowa,
Boston College, BU.
Yeah.
Okay, that great.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Yeah, Power 5 offers were incredible. Bottom of the ACC offers.
What I like about how
many games did Boston win this year?
Listen, I don't give a fuck. It doesn't matter.
Well,
the fact is, I was right.
Here's the thing. No, you're not right.
Yes, I am.
It's not a guarantee he's going to start. And it goes back to what I just said.
He had offers, though. You're saying he had none.
Who wants to rent a 1-year quarterback at the Power 5 level and compete? That's not going to happen.
You're about to do that NCAA 25.
Texas State can do that.
You're going to make some of those same decisions, Coach Zimmel.
Texas State can do that because it's the Sun Belt. But a Power 5 school is not doing that. Texas Tech is now renting a grad transfer to try to win the Big 12 this year. At least I don't think so. I think that they would rather bring in a quarterback.
Their football team at this point.
I think they would rather bring in a quarterback who has multiple years of eligibility and then build a quarterback room with high school or younger transfers versus a guy like McCloud who has 1 year of eligibility. Again, I don't want to rain on anybody's parade here, but I'm just saying I don't think TJ Finley is that much of a downgrade from this guy. In fact, I think that I think they're relatively comparable, which is great for Texas State, who could have won the conference last year if the ball bounced a couple different ways.
Well, you say that, but they lost 4 fucking games where they shouldn't have lost, Well,
that's what I'm saying. The ball bounces a little different.
No, not the ball bounces is different. They got their asses kicked in 4 different games. It's not the ball bouncing a different way. It's the coaches being beat by other coaches. It's the players getting their asses kicked. It's a lot of other things that happen.
So you don't think that they could have won the conference last year?
No, we were firmly a 6-6 podcast.
We were firmly a 6-6 podcast.
And we were
but
shocked when they won 7.
I would say that, well, because here's the thing. There was times, Louisiana game in particular that comes to mind, that we should have won. Coastal Carolina, another one where you go back and you watch that game. But you go back and watch that game and you go okay, is TJ Finley hurt? It was a weird weather game.
Well, that's the weather they play in Conway.
But this is what I'm saying. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that they could have won the conference last year. Troy, I will give you. They were the better team. But of those 4 losses, at least 2 of them should have been games that they would have won. That I think that when the coaches go back and look at the season, they say, hey, those are 2 games that we shouldn't have lost.
For sure, Louisiana. That writing was on the wall for that one. And then Troy, it felt like we had them for a while too. And then it just didn't, for whatever reason.
I would argue Troy, they were just the better team.
Yeah.
That's the one I would say, okay, that's a loss. Does not matter if we play that team 10 times. I don't think we beat them.
Yeah.
But Coastal?
Yeah, we should have won against Coastal, but Ethan Vasco was so goddamn good.
But this is what I'm.
But I guess this is what I talked about. This is what I talked about to GJ Kinney about last year. Is that how do you manage hype and expectations, right? Especially in year 1, culturally as a team. I don't know, because in my head, in everybody's head, actually, at Texas State, we were the best team. We were Liberty Part 2, the best. We were the best fucking G5 in the country, ready to go. And then, I don't know, just some weeks it felt like we couldn't play football ever again.
With this quarterback, with the players who are returning, with the coaching staff that's in place, it's the last week of February. I'm not willing to make a prediction here. I think Texas State, the bar is set at 7 wins.
I'm ready. I'm ready to make one. A bold claim. Texas State's winning the Sun Belt next year.
Okay.
Prime
Texas State's win. I'm not willing to say that yet. But I think that with the expanded playoffs, the way that it works is that essentially the highest ranked group of 5 team will get in, right? So you're probably going to have to win 11 games, right? You're going to have to
cannon fodder for Georgia or Texas, or
I wouldn't know because the first 4 teams going to bye. So you're getting the 5th best team in the country. Could you beat Ole Miss?
Ohio State?
Could you beat Penn State?
Penn State?
Well, and that's no. I don't know. Neutral field?
No.
I don't think so. I don't think so either, but I'm putting it out there. For Texas State fans,
we could have 11 Jordan McClouds on the field and it wouldn't matter.
The ultimate goal for this program should be to win the conference. That I think is a realistic, attainable goal. Win the conference.
Host the conference championship in San Marcos.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's fair. I think that the West is going to be worse than the East, so you'd hope that the East cannibalizes itself a little bit at least.
Like last year.
That their winner has kind of, but not really. I mean, JMU kind of dominated that conference. At least that side of the bracket.
But they take a step back this year. No.
Yeah.
They lose their OC. That was part of the reason George McCloud came over here.
If the winner in the East has 3 losses, then Texas State should host. Right? They should host.
Especially because we're looking at the schedule. You and me have already done some advanced analytics and gone.
Advanced scouting.
Texas State should be 4-0 by week 5.
Yeah. I mean, it's doable. It's attainable.
Host Lamar, host UTSA, host Arizona State, and then go to NRG to play Sam Houston.
So I want to pin you down on this. McCloud is an upgrade from TJ Finley.
I am counting it as an upgrade. Yes.
Okay.
And it was also weird that...
How big of an upgrade?
That McCloud spent some time with Delora, and now those 2 storylines are connected at Arizona. By the way, Jaden Delora, I don't think we've said that on this podcast, but he has declared for the NFL draft. Exactly. So
how big of an upgrade is he?
It will be read former Texas State quarterback Jaden Delora. Drafted, undrafted, free agent.
Have fun in Europe, buddy. Learn German.
Get ready to speak Chinese.
Yeah. So is he a big enough upgrade to you, McCloud? I want to pin you down on this because
I think it's kind of a lateral move. Yeah, I think you're right. It's not like a crazy upgrade, but he is probably the best available right now.
Yes.
If you
Going from
if you're drafting in a fantasy league, he's best available.
Going from a B to a B plus, it does not move the needle, but going from no quarterback to the player of the year does.
Mm-hmm.
And I
nice,
think
nice resume.
And I think that is why people need to be excited or should be excited. Like I'm excited, you're excited. We're both excited about this, but I am being the realist here, I think.
Oh, how about this? He had a great resume. He wrote an even better cover letter. There you go. That's why he got the job. And that's coming from a guy who never writes cover letters.
He does something that TJ Finley didn't do very well, and that's mobility. Mm-hmm. He's a little bit more mobile. Pocket. Well, yeah, I think TJ Finley was a good quarter. I never saw the turnovers that people were warning us about with TJ Finley.
Not LSU level for sure.
No, people were saying that he was going to turn the ball over at least 1.5 times a game, and I don't ever think it got to that level where he made did he make some throws that he shouldn't have made? Did he think that he could put a football through the eye of a needle a couple times? Sure, but I'd rather him make or try to make those plays, attempt those plays, than play super conservative like I've seen other quarterbacks play.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's good. The weirdest ones was when he would get hit in the pocket, and then you would have like a ball security issue.
Yeah.
But then you could say the same thing about Ishmati, Ashton Hawkins, who lost that game against Louisiana. You say that about a lot of guys, actually, but not about our king, Joey Hobart.
Mahdi comes back. Hobart comes back. McCloud comes in. This should be the best offense in the Sun Belt.
Cole Wilson.
Cole Wilson comes back. Yeah. They bring back an offense this year and an offensive line. If I'm correct, they need to retool a little bit, but they bring back an offense that should lead the conference in scoring, should lead the conference in yards. And I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. And this should make our guy Mike Craven kind of excited here. They should have a top 3 offense in the state of Texas for FBS. I don't think that there's going to be a lot of offenses in the state of Texas that are going to put up the amount of points that Texas State is going to put up this year. Now, the most important thing, of course, retool the offensive line and get a defense that can make a stop, because there was too many times last year that we had to get in shootouts. Those to me are still the 2 big wish lists, the big question marks as we get into the summer.
Need big boys on both sides, to be honest, because had some depth issues on the defensive line, had some obvious holes to fill on the offensive line. And if you're going to play for a Sun Belt title, you need those wars in the trenches. I agree. I also think, going back to Craven's deal, weeks 1 through 4, San Marcos, or not San Marcos, but wherever Texas State is playing is the place to be, because they play at NRG week 4 against Sam Houston. Very cool games to write about. Very cool games to see in person. And I think we'll only have 3 other home games after that, after weeks 1 through 3. Kind of the season goes by in a very big hurry next season. It's like halfway over at week 3. And then if we get a conference title game, it'll be 7th time,
Which sucks, man, because for the first time since I want to say, and look, Bobcat fans can correct us in the comments, can correct us online if we're wrong about this, but it feels like the first time in a decade that the stadium was that rocking. And to have
and you missed the whole thing, right? You didn't make.
Oh, I didn't make a single home game.
First time you saw them in person was at the first.
Was the bowl game? Yeah,
I'm telling you, man. It's fucking magical. And this is another like movie style headline. You remember last year I was like tripping on acid the whole time? I was like, I'm on a pursuit of happiness. Every time I saw this team play, it was like, this is just another movie storyline that comes in. The Sun Belt Player of the Year wants to come to Texas State. It's like, what the hell is happening? This is not the team I'm used to covering. But I guess in a way I am at the same time. We're now 80 episodes deep onto this very show you're listening to right now.
To have the atmosphere that they had last year and to lose it by not having any sort of like real home games in conference play, that sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because it feels like we burned week 1, hosting Lamar over here.
Yeah.
Just horrible team. Nice tune-up game. We'll probably get to see 2 quarterbacks in that one, if I'm guessing correctly. We'll see Jordan McCloud up front, and then probably somebody in the 4th quarter to finish it out.
It's too early. It's too early to make those type of predictions.
It's gonna happen, baby. That's how this
Okay.
offense runs.
Start writing them down. I challenged the squaring around the cartel that we have built.
What have I said first? That first Texas State's winning the Sun Belt.
Yes.
2 quarterbacks, game 1.
Yeah. Start collecting those hot takes.
All right.
I like it. I like I said, it's still too early for me to make those type of those bold takes.
Can we talk about just like how the recruiting rumor wheel was from Monday to Tuesday to on? Or I guess it started Sunday night with people just tweeting like popcorn gifts and coaches kind of tweeting erratically and stuff like that. And I guess honestly,
It's my least favorite part.
In hindsight, looking back on it, right? If you go from last year, remember we did a whole episode on how cringy some of the coaches' tweets are and how like weird our fan base is sometimes. But this was like next level. Like, what the hell are we talking about? My phone was blowing up on Monday night. Like, Jakob, do you know what's happening right now? And I was like, no, what is happening right now? I have no idea what you guys are talking about. And it's all these guys just tweeting like, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. The biggest proponent of this, and the biggest bad actor in this, Big Thad. And he was tweeting nonstop about this eventual move to the point where other people got curious and started figuring it out. Started seeing who Kelly Damphus was following. Started seeing who Joey Hobart and Cole Wilson, Ishmael Mahdi were following, you know? So eventually people did the math, found out it was Jordan McCloud. On Tuesday morning, the day that they released this information that Jordan McCloud's coming to Texas State, I tweet just kind of something random, 7:48 a.m. in San Antonio, Texas. The weather, cloudy. Mike Craven DM'd Squarin around and goes, hey, stop tweeting about this shit. I get to break it at 9 a.m. 15 minutes later, Texas State breaks it on their own. And I was like, Craven, random guys on the internet are breaking this right now. You guys are not breaking any news. I feel like this is set in stone right now.
Craven, I'd like to point out that it was not me who was throwing those. It was Jakob this time. But anyway,
I threw one of them out because I also did that funny money math.
So we talked about it last year. We said the coach is a little cringe. I did see a tweet today, and I wish I could give this Twitter user a shout out with the handle. I can't remember it. So, but the tweet paraphrasing essentially was the fan base is too big. There's too many of us not to own all these social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Like, we need to be more active on these different sites. And I like that. I like the idea that the Texas State fan base is tweeting, is talking about softball and basketball and football and recruiting and all that type of stuff. I like that. I like having Bruin and Golden. I will say there are times where I feel like maybe it's the Baby J journalism in me that's like, I'm like, oh, okay, let's just pump the brakes here. You mentioned Big Thad. I get it. I understand. We were excited. There's news. I understand people want to talk about the news. I get it. I just, in hindsight, fan is short for fanatic. I don't know. I don't think I'll ever be that person. I'm not going to hate on them for doing it though. I'm going to hold off my hate.
As a journalist, I'm just a hyper competitive person in general, but as a journalist, there's nothing that gets me going than getting one over on everybody else and getting a scoop, you know, raking some news, getting somebody that nobody else has. And I guess in this instance, like, I'm kind of anti, like, I don't know.
I'm anti. I know exactly what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
When you have a big story that's coming and you're like, hey, tomorrow's issue. Oh, it's a banger. Hey, the story dropping tomorrow.
The shit out of it, and then it drops. But no, not even that.
Rachel Maddow ruined it for me. You know? Rachel Maddow ruined it for me. She said that she had some sort of Trump document, talked about it for fucking 48 hours, and then did it on her show, and it was nothing. It was a big nothing burger. And ever since then, ever since that point, I have been so anti lead up. Ooh, hey, the podcast that we have coming on. Oh, the podcast guest we got coming. Ooh, you're not going to want to miss this episode. I'm just like, please, just tell us who's on the episode.
Well, not only that,
don't do that.
It's just like, even as a journalist, I like the surprise element sometimes, you know? It's
like the bombshell.
Yeah, exactly. And
yeah,
so
you don't want the warning, the sirens.
Yeah, I don't want tornado sirens. I want to be hit by the category 5. Just because you remember when TJ Finley was signed? It was like that. It was awesome. And this time it felt like everybody had advanced warning. Like we all got the press release and we just hit with an embargo. And as a TV person, I deal with embargoes all the time. I'm familiar with them. Basically you get this report in and you're like, hey, you don't mention this on air until after 9 a.m. EST or whatever. And then it's always somebody that fucks up and breaks it. Embargoes get broken all the time. CNN breaks them all the time. And it's ridiculous. And so it's like, why does this media thing exist? Like either break the news or don't. Leak it to Dave Campbell's ahead of time or don't. Leak it to Big Thad or some internet personality or don't. But it just felt like they're playing too many angles and trying to create the most headlines possible, maybe.
I will tell you this, and this is a disclaimer. If you tell me information and you say, do not post about it until X date, when it's Texas State related, I will be telling Jacob and he will be posting it on his own.
As an independent journalist.
As an independent journalist, he will be posting on his own. If you come to me and say, do not tell us that Jessica Mullins is getting her number retired, don't tell anybody until 5 p.m. on Friday, I will immediately turn around, text Jacob that press release and say, tweet this at your convenience. So I'm just letting you know, don't tell me anything because I will be telling Jacob and he will be posting it.
And then I'll say, I got this from a source.
Yeah. Scoop says, streets are saying,
Yeah. No, but it's that's kind of how I felt about the whole thing. I was like, what the hell is this? Like, I mean, maybe it's just us like trying to control our own media market because if you think about it, Texas State being kind of sandwiched between San Antonio and Austin, a lot of things get missed. This was one of the headlines across the country that was picked up.
Let me tell you this. So did you notice that Big Thad had it? The fans had it. You and me, I'll speak for myself. I didn't have it. Did you talk to Colton? Did he have it? Because
I actually did not talk to Colton about this. I talked to Craven momentarily.
So Craven had it. I don't think Kev had it because
I think Ish did, and I'm pretty sure Kev had it because I talked to Webb about it on Monday. So,
but I didn't see it. I didn't see any of the he wrote big news coming. Big news coming.
That's not really his style, but he wrote it for his new deal, his college
sports,
whatever deal, yeah. And they did a whole preview.
That's 100% his thing.
Yeah,
I've seen him do that before. I've seen him do that before. It's not a knock. I'm just saying that
sounds like a knock.
It's not a knock, but I'm saying
knocking at your door.
Personally, I'm not a fan of that, but I get it. I understand how people would, fans deserve to know, but I just put it out there.
So if you have a surprise party that you're planning, don't invite Big Thad. He will ruin the surprise. Just kidding, Big Thad. Also, on the topic of Big Thad, he was supposed to be on last week. Eventually, we'll circle back and we'll get him on. I wanted to start off the podcast last week with this anecdote. The first time I met Big Thad, I had several things in my hands because I am a journalist and I carry a bunch of bullshit when I go to these games. So I had like 3 bags in my hand, only my left hand available. Zimmel sees Big Thad, goes up, introduces himself, gives him perhaps one of the cleanest dap-ups I've seen in 2023. It was perfect.
I don't remember this at all.
Big Thad turns to me. I go to dap him up with my left hand. Awkward interaction. We ended up going in for a hug. My bad. Mea culpa, Big Thad. I owe you a fucking clean dap when I see you the next time.
You know how cultured I am that I don't even remember this dap, that I'm just like, yeah, okay, that's just a normal everyday thing for me.
Just a white guy pretending to be cool right now. Shut up, dude.
I'm just saying, I don't remember this at all.
You brought it up in the elevator.
When did I bring that up? I don't remember this conversation at all.
Whatever. Okay. You guys, look at this guy. He's fucking lying through his teeth right now.
I can't remember.
Look at him.
I can't remember this at all. Sorry, buddy.
Whatever.
I do my thing.
Okay. Well, this is my public apology for that bad dap. Big Thad.
Kind of late, huh? 3 months in?
No, well, I was waiting. I wanted the dust to settle. And then all that stuff with the football team happened late Jan. So I was like, not time to bring it up right now. And then we're doing a little cleanup work. Now here's time for forgiveness in February. That's what it's all about.
You're waiting till the last day of the month. Okay.
Day before, yeah. Let's talk about, you want to just breeze through basketball? Basketball's playing games still, somehow, some way.
Can I say this?
In a healthy manner.
Coach Z has done a lot of very good stuff. They did like a community service thing recently Kelly Danfus tweeted about it, posted some photos. I like seeing.
They had a player signing, like a special day, like signing day for a player, for a little girl who has leukemia.
Yes.
So I'll post that picture.
I like those stories. I like what they're doing. At the same time, they have a college or a basketball recruit who played her final high school game, who had like I think like something like a 40-point triple double. So
ridiculous.
All of the women's basketball fans who have been upset about the way the season has gone, talking to a bunch of different people who have been like, "Hey, what do we expect from the season? This is kind of disappointment." All the other stuff that goes on around it. Folks, the cavalry is coming. Help is on the way. So this season, next season, I'm stoked. I'm so locked in.
Do you think? How do you think they finish in the Sun Belt? Are they a top 4 team in the tourney?
Do you think that they finish in the top 4 after the Sun Belt tournament? Is that the question?
Yeah, in the tourney itself, where they finish.
Top 6 for sure.
Top half for sure. Top 6, I think you're right. Yeah.
Top 6 for sure. Top 4.
Because that's the difference maker. You know,
that's
when you're either in the semis or not.
If F it. Yeah, they'll be a top 4 team.
Okay.
Coach Love, Coach Z, let's get it done. Wow. Lock in. Let's get it done.
On the other side of that, men's basketball, definitely not a top 4 team. I think maybe these guys are lucky to find themselves in the position they found themselves last year, where they were the first 7th seed or higher to make it into the semifinals. Do I think they're going to go on some sort of Cinderella run? Absolutely effing not, dude. It's been rough.
They just never found. I don't want this to be an indictment on the coaching staff. I don't want this to be an indictment on the players. It never felt like they found their identity. It never felt like they found a leader. Does that make sense?
Oh, like, no, that's if you had talked to Coach Johnson, that's all he's talking about this whole season.
Yeah, which is, again, not great. I don't really love to hear that from my head coach, that they never found leaders, considering that this is the first class that is all his, right? Mm-hmm. Like, he I don't know. Did somebody leave? That needs to be the conversation at the end of the season. Was there a player who transferred out? Was there a player who decommitted? Was there a player that was injured that if they played the entire season, if they had a big role in the team? But do you think he was going to be the leader? Do you think he was going to be the person who steps in and takes it? Now, here's my thing.
Hey, this is the thing. In the Sun Belt Conference tournament last year, they lost, right, in kind of a dramatic way. Pretty sure Coach Johnson brought out Drew Drennan, Nate Martin, maybe? Probably before he entered the transfer portal. Whatever, it doesn't matter. At the end of the thing, he's on the podium with Coach Johnson. He's like, Drew Drennan to my left. This is one of the guys that's going to be with us and carry the weight of this team next year. That is verbatim what Coach Johnson said last year.
Ish would be better about this than I am going to be. But there is a lineage of Texas State basketball players from KGT. So we're going like a decade back now to Nigel, to Mason Harrell. And I don't want to say that the torch got dropped, but I don't think that there is that type of leader on this team.
No.
And that is not good. And that is going to be something that's going to be corrected. And if it's not corrected in the next 2 years, there's going to be problems.
You know who it would have been? Nate Martin. It should have
been. If he doesn't leave?
If he didn't leave, yeah. Which sucks because he was such a great guy. Team still has a lot of love for him. His dad still follows our podcast page. Shout out, Dad Martin. But, damn, he was so good. And he's having a great year at Marshall. By the way, Texas State plays their last regular season conference game on Friday, March the 1st. That's this Friday.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Against Troy.
How long is the contract?
Through 27.
So in 2 years, it'll be 26. Yeah. He needs to, they need to have he
needs a marquee near next year. Otherwise, there's some conversation.
There's gonna be some talks. Yeah, then he needs to have a good season next year. And maybe that's why he threw the players on the bus this year.
Well, he's got a very young core, right? Caden Gums is pretty much starting PG this year. behind Brandon Love at times, but
there were times, but there's
Or John
times with this
Mason, sorry.
team. There's times with this team that you're like, oh, I see sparks, I see stretches, but they
beat App
never put.
State, one of the best teams in the Sun Belt. But then 2 games later, Caden Gums gets a concussion because he's playing 34 minutes a game,
Yeah,
getting after it. So I don't know. I hope this young core stays intact. That's really going to be kind of what happens with this team. If Coach Johnson's got to reset everything, that'll be a very different fucking team to look at next year than if he only has to replace 4 or 5 guys, which has been kind of like what he had been dealing with the past 2 years. He only had a few scholarship slots because he had retained so many of kind of the Casper holdovers, But now he gets kind of a new look every year because the transfer
which
portal.
I don't necessarily love.
Yeah.
Necessarily like that.
No, and you're a big Colton Benson fan, so you're excited to see him play.
Oh yeah, plays great defense.
Plays great defense.
One of the best.
Let's move on to something more pleasant to talk about. Softball's dominance, baby. You've been keeping up.
Oh
Jessica
my
Mullins,
God,
our girl.
dude. Our
Tossing
girl
girls out of
Jess,
there.
bro. Golly. Talk about coming out strong, man. Like we knew that this team was going to be good. She is very much coming out with a chip on the shoulder feels like the wrong phrase, but she's coming out kicking ass early. And I want to say, because we didn't get to talk to him before the season, we're probably going to talk to him during the season at some point.
Mm-hmm.
They are on this little bit of a run now over the past 5 years that I think last year's, the way the season ended, that they were unhappy that the season ended a little bit too soon for them, which is exactly where I want this team to be. I want them to go throughout this entire season saying to themselves, hey, we need to kick ass. We need to kind of, and it's not a revenge tour because they were one of the best teams in the Sun Belt last year, but like, I want them to be on this run where it's like, hey, Jess's final season, Woodard is has like 500 wins, 700 wins, something like that. She's at 800 wins.
Yeah,
she hit
it's actually what I told her she was going to hit last year if she made a deep enough run in the in the playoffs. And it didn't happen. So that's on my bad, Coach Woodard.
So we have a coach who's been here long enough that she knows how to push the buttons for the players. They've looked really good to start the season.
And
really
you know what? Perhaps best start of softball because Squarin around went to their first pitch dinner. Just saying.
Yeah. Were you the one that was naked next to Kat Osterman?
I was for a time naked next to Kat Osterman in my car, not exposing myself.
Okay, that story came up this week.
Really?
Yeah, she was talking about some weirdo that was in a car next to her
on her podcast.
Yo, just in general, I was talking to all the UT people, and she was telling the story. It was crazy.
Yeah, I'm
kidding around. I'm joking.
Squaring around.
Squaring around.
I want to talk about baseball sad face. I went out to the Round Rock Classic to see my boys in person for the first time this season.
They put up 20 runs the other day.
Yeah.
Why are you sad?
That was against Prairie View A&M.
They put up 20 runs.
Wow. That's not even the first time they've done it this season, baby.
But that's what I'm saying. I don't know why you're sad face.
I just wanted them to win the Carbot Classic. I know it doesn't mean anything, but
Yeah, I guess.
They put up 20 runs in their first game of the season against Youngstown State. So you're right. There's not a lot to be pissy about.
No.
But they lose to Kansas 4-7. They lose to Kentucky 5-11. And they beat Washington State, the boys out of Pullman, who ended up winning the entire tournament overall. So pretty cool.
So they beat the team that won the tournament.
Yes.
How can you be upset?
I can find ways to be upset.
I guess so. Yeah. I mean,
tell you what, if you go out to Dell Diamond, beautiful ballpark, comparable to Whataburger Field at Corpus Christi. It was an amazing ballpark. I love it so much. And but the best ballpark of all time.
That was a good impression.
Thank you.
That was a good one. Very rarely do I give you credit for that. That was a good
political advertising season in the TV world. So all I hear is Greg Abbott calling Steve Allison, Rhino, and Donald Trump and Biden during these commercial breaks in my headset. Looking ahead, the baseball team plays in the Astros Foundation Classic this weekend.
They play some great teams.
Yeah, they play Houston first. Then they play Texas and LSU.
Two
So
teams
literally
who
Friday,
have their
Saturday,
eye
Sunday.
on two teams who have their eye on Omaha this year.
Mm-hmm. Well,
The
I don't know
defending
about
national
Texas.
champions. Huh?
I don't know about Texas, but
I'm telling you that team thinks that they're going to go to Omaha.
I'm
So
telling everybody thinks they're going to go to Omaha right now. It's
you
freaking
think
February.
Texas State's going to Omaha?
Slow Omaha. I think there's a lot of team or things to learn with this team. They're still learning right now. So ask me in March and I'll tell you yes
So
or no.
you lose 2 games at Del Diamond. Now you go play the defending national champions, the University of Texas, and Houston, which does not have a bad ball club either.
Mm-mm.
How do you think they finish?
I don't know. I think
3 games.
we win Friday night for sure.
Okay, you
I,
beat
I don't
Houston.
think we win against LSU, whether they
No.
have their A lineup or B lineup up. And I think we can play Texas head to head most nights.
I think we go 1-2. I think we have 2 losses to LSU and Texas.
Yeah, I think the Texas game's a toss up to me, to be honest.
I don't think it is, but we'll see.
This is not a strong Texas team that we played in years past when they were like number 1, number 2 in the country at this point in the year. So I guess we played Texas like 3 times.
Here's the thing.
We played Texas like 3 times now.
You played
Yeah.
Texas 3 times this year, which means you can win the series. Here's what I would say, Jacob, that Texas State is better than St. John's. Texas beat the brakes off St. John's yesterday.
Ooh.
Okay. So I'm looking at it as like,
Well, that was a Tuesday night game. You know, are you with that whole college baseball thing? Like nobody cares about Tuesday night game. Tuesday night
hey, it
game.
counts in the standings.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying too.
It counts in the standings. So I don't know what to tell you. I'd like to think that we'd be. I hear. If you wanted the most optimistic outlook, do you want that?
Yeah.
The most optimistic outlook. LSU lost a lot of the team that they had from last year
To the MLB draft.
to the MLB draft to pro baseball. So there's a chance in that regard that things could look okay. And then the University of Texas is going to be playing their 3rd game in 3 days. So you could catch them. And Texas State has not really shown that the pitching early season is all there, but I would be curious. I'd like to see them win. So look, I think they go 1-2, but at the same time, they could go 3-0. There's a possibility. It's not impossible if they go 3-0.
Dude, and the pitching thing is the first thing anybody brings up about Texas State. It's like,
Yeah, because they don't have it.
the pitching. Well, no fucking pitcher for Texas State has played like more than 3 innings yet this season. Tell you
This
who
is
you
true.
should be excited to see. Jack Stroud, who still throws absolute freaking gas every time. And Taylor C out of Lake Jackson. I always get excited about guys in that from that part of the country, Texas.
Why?
Because Tristan's from Brazoria, and so we always get fired up when we see some guys from out there. But Taylor C, very good ball player, did have a couple weird throws. But yeah, that's kind of my defense for the pitching staff right now is that none of them have played more than 3 innings. Also, we have not seen Chase Mora come in relief for anything yet, and he was supposed to be a 2-way player. Remember, he broke it on Squarin around himself.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be a 2-way player. So TBD on that. But we also still haven't talked to Steve Trout yet. So we still need to talk to softball first. So much to be learned about this baseball team. But I'm sure they'll right the ship eventually. I mean, it's not even conference season time, you know.
No, they still
ramping up to a very strong conference.
Yeah, they still look really good when conference play comes around. Look, we're almost in the month of March. That really is a telling point of like where the season is going. By mid-March, we'll kind of have a better understanding of where we're going to go with this.
When it's cold outside, I got the month of May. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, just going around. Thanks
Shout
for
out
watching,
Brady
man.
and Brian.
Ooh,
I'm playing with you guys in
you want to talk about that shit?
In College Football 25.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah, we can. Let's wrap it though. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Quickly.
We can talk. Yeah.
We tweeted about which Bobcat everybody would add into the new NCAA game when it eventually comes out later this year from 2013 on. And we got a few very fun interactions with it. The first one being Brant Freeman throwing himself in the mix. So I think that just means he's a big creative player guy, you know?
Yeah.
So Brant Freeman. But this is my thing with creative players. I'm a truist. I'm not 6'2", 200 pounds. I put 5'7", 160-pound Jakob Rodriguez in the game every time. So Brent Freeman, I better not see you playing with a TJ Finley-esque character. Brady McBride complimented Andrew, saying he would make the whole roster from 2020, and said that Andrew.
That's a good one. I like that.
Big Dad said David Mayo. Zimmel got some big love from Brian London too. He got a black emoji and a white emoji shaking hands. You have no idea how hard that made me laugh, buddy.
It was a good one. Me and Brian,
Also another one from Brian London. Hey man, in some crowds this may be controversial, but my easy answer has got to be T. Jones. That Southern Miss game, still the most impressive single-handed performance I witnessed. And this put me and you, I think, into a rabbit hole on how good Tyler Jones was.
No, not a rabbit hole for me.
I've always been a verified Tyler Jones hater. So, yeah.
He had a really good junior year, which would be the year that Brian was there. His senior year was disappointing, to say the least. I think it was like a 3-win season for Texas State. That game in particular, though, the dude went off. 60-yard run, 3 TDs, like I think what 400, almost 400 yards passing.
Touchdowns.
Dude was incredible. So
he was an NCAA character.
In a loss though to Southern Miss.
Tyler Jones, if you want to get on the podcast anytime, brother, get at us at Squarin Pod.
I have asked him to come on in the past. I've asked him to come on shows in the past with us, and he has always said he would rather not, but you know what? Maybe time heals all wounds. Tyler Jones in that game against Southern Miss, 310 yards, 3 TDs, no interceptions, rushed for 160 yards and 2 TDs in a 56-50 loss to the Golden Eagles in San Marcos. Video game numbers.
There's an account online. I also want to talk about this before we wrap. Durag Boko. I mentioned this the last one out. One of my favorite new accounts. What is up with guys wagering, tasing their nuts for something to happen online? He said if we signed Jordan McCloud, he would post a video of him tasing his nuts online. That's crazy.
Yeah,
dude.
no, kind of weird. Was not a super big fan of that. Durag Boko also interacting with Jessica Mullins, like
no
tomorrow. I would say 4 tweets too much. I'm like, because every
literally
time
4-2-1 at this point.
Yes. I'm like, let's dial it back a little bit. Last one an hour ago, Bobcat softball stadium. I'm inside of you. Mully is just different, man.
Oh, by the way, they're playing Texas right now. I should have said that when we were talking about the softball segment.
Yeah.
They're having a blackout game against Texas right now.
Yes. I'm sorry to my professors. The only thing that's on my mind is Jessica Mullins' masterclass. All very cool.
That's a good one.
All very cool. She says, this is solid. They say, I think someone, me, would say your highlights greater than mid-17th century poems. And she says, you know what? I think so too. So what I'm hoping for is that this is a normal, well-adjusted person. That would be number one. The second thing I hope is that it's Jessica running her own account, which I think would be super funny.
That would be
funny. That would be number 2. And then third, and this is the one that I don't want. I don't want this to be some frat guy. I don't want that.
By the way, last tweet from Texas State softball 9 minutes ago at this point in recording. Top of the 4th. Texas leading 1-0 right now.
Yeah, still doable.
Still doable. All right. Thanks for squaring around, everybody. Go softball.
We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking badges.
Better not come any closer.
Thanks for listening. New episodes out every Thursday. Follow the boys on Twitter. Eat 'em up. Eat 'em up.